performing devotional service. And we try to explain this. In this way, our society is successfully spreading all over the world. The life of the Krishna Consciousness Society is nourished by these 6 types of loving exchange among the members. Therefore, people must be given the chance to associate with devotees in ISKCON simply because by reciprocating in the 6 ways mentioned above, an ordinary person can fully revive their dormant Krishna consciousness. And it goes on for a few more pages, so if you haven't read this book, please get a copy and take advantage of that. But we'll stop there because of the shortage of time. So here, Rupa Goswami is pointing out to us, and Srila Prabhupada is further exchanging about these 6 methods of loving exchange between devotees and how important they are. And some of you might have seen recently the Surgeon General, the current Surgeon General was also the Surgeon General during Obama administration. He's now back with Biden administration. Anybody know his name? It's interesting. Yeah, what is it? Vivek Murthy. Yes, so that name may sound familiar to you. I think he's an Irish guy, right? Murthy? Isn't that an Irish name, I think? Something like that. Anyway, he's known to some of us, his background. So he recently, in fact, I just did a little Googling. It's not just recent. He's been saying for years, but just recently he's talking again about there's an epidemic in America. There's lots of epidemics, right? You think, okay, COVID, certainly, maybe this new monkey flu, whatever, but he said, no. There's another epidemic. Anybody know it? You know, Mataji, what the epidemic is that he's talking about? Anybody know? It's more subtle. Loneliness. This is the man who's in charge, you could say. He's the head doctor of the United States, in one sense. So, I remember when I was young, the Surgeon General was the one that put those warnings on cigarette packages. This will kill you, stop smoking this. So that's the kind of things they're normally concerned with. And he's saying that the problem is, one of the big problems, an epidemic, that's a strong word. Right? We just had, COVID, we're not over it yet. That's an epidemic. It killed 1 million people just in America. And he's using that same term, and he's saying the epidemic is loneliness. And they describe sometimes, especially in the social media era, and we all know, I flew here from Washington, D.C. I'm looking around the room. I didn't see there was a guy in the plane reading a newspaper. I was really shocked. I thought, are you 175 years old or what? Who touches a paper newspaper these days? Everybody's on their machine, right? They're flipping through. But they say, what is the nature of this, especially for younger people? Oftentimes young people describe, I have thousands of friends, at least hundreds, sometimes thousands. I have thousands of friends, but I don't have a friend. That's loneliness, And I look through all the pictures, and everybody looks so happy. You see people taking pictures all the time, right? They're kind of walking down the street. And then they go, oh, this is a nice place. Right? And they snap the picture and they send it to all their friends. And all their friends look at it and say, she looks so happy. What's wrong with me? Isn't it? So this kind of pressure is there. And they talk about with social media 2 years ago, even when the, internet started, email, there was an idea it's going to really be a wonderful thing. It's going to bring so many people together. But now we see actually the effect, oftentimes it divides people. Because I look at my news site, and it's only way to the right. You look at yours, it's only way to the left. I'm told you're terrible for the world. You're told I'm terrible for the world, etc. So it's creating this division. And in our devotional communities, we also sometimes were affected by that. Again, we have thousands of friends, but do we have a friend? So what's a friend mean? Here's described. A friend means someone we offer gifts, we accept gifts, we can reveal our mind in confidence. We inquire confidentially. We give prasadam. We can share prasadam. So these are the way it's described for us as devotees that we can build friendship. And we understand ultimately, and this is one of these wonderful radical claims that Vaishnavas make and we make in the Krishna conscious movement. We proclaim loudly that everyone is ultimately looking for Krishna. Like we see around the world today, there's so many different people pursuing so many different things. Somebody just look in your workplace. Somebody, if you talk to your friends in the world at large. I remember I worked in a factory one summer. I got a ride when I was in college every day with a man, and every day he'd tell me about how he wanted to get a Harley Davidson motorcycle. He was fixed on a Harley Davidson motorcycle. And I was thinking, there's so many Harley Davidson motorcycles parked in the parking lot of the factory. Those guys aren't any happier than anybody else. What's your guarantee it's going to satisfy you? But he was just, no, I need a Harley. So someone's thinking they need a motorcycle. Someone's thinking I need more money. Someone's thinking I need a bigger house. Someone's thinking I want to be the chairman of the corporation. So many different things. Someone's thinking I need political power. I need to get rid of my enemies. Someone's thinking I need to conquer another country. But in Krishna consciousness, we're understanding whatever those desires are, it's misinformed desire for Krishna. That's our radical claim. We're actually looking, sometimes we describe, we're looking for love and we're looking to be loved. But we're thinking that if I have enough money, everybody will love me. And we know it kind of works to a certain extent. You ever read those stories about people that win the lottery? It's a wonderful thing. You think you're just getting money, but actually so many friends come. Your best friend from like 7th grade, you haven't heard from them in 36 years, but then they call you up. I've actually been looking for you for 36 years because I have so much love for you, and I just read that you wanted $5 million. I mean, I just happened to see your name in the newspaper. So I thought I'd reconnect with you. And all of a sudden you have so many friends. What kind of friends are those? Those aren't friends. Those aren't friends. A lot of times big, very popular people, movie stars, they talk about how they're somewhat tortured because so many people are after them, but they don't really care about them as a person. It becomes very, very, very superficial. So we're not looking for money or for this. We're looking, because that's one of Krishna's energies. Why are we attracted to money? Because it's an opulence of Krishna. Why are we attracted to beauty? Because we're looking for the most beautiful person. Why are we attracted to power? Because we're attracted to ultimately the most powerful person. So we're looking for Krishna. As devotees, we understand this. We're all looking for Krishna. Those of us that are practicing bhakti for some time, at least theoretically, we accept that. But then there's the challenge of, but what do I do? Because I'm not connected to Krishna right now. Like we just had a beautiful kirtan. I was thinking, wow. I was upstairs thinking, boy, I feel connected to Krishna through this kirtan. But the kirtan's not always there, and the deities aren't always there. Our connection to Krishna, we don't always feel that connection. So what's Rupa Goswami expressing to us? In the world that's filled with an epidemic of loneliness, and having to one degree or the other forgotten my spiritual identity, and to one degree or the other have lost my connection with Krishna, where does my inspiration come from? Where does my connection come from? Where does my security in the sense of my conviction come from in my spiritual path? And this verse is describing for Vaishnavas how that's achieved. And it's achieved through developing these relationships with devotees. And as Prabhupada said, the society was created. This is why ISKCON is here. We know we come, we worship the deities, we perform so many different types of devotional service. But he says the society was formed to create these kind of loving exchanges. Because if we think about it, if you can just imagine for a minute, we come to the temple, and I don't know, there's probably been 10 people, if not 20, doing different services for the deities, so that we come, they're dressed beautifully, and the flower garlands are made so nicely, and all of that. So we come to have the darshan of the deities, but would there be any darshan of the deities if those 10 or 20 people hadn't been here for hours, starting at 4 o'clock in the morning, to take care of the deities? There wouldn't be any deities. And we come and we take advantage of a beautiful kirtan like we had today. What if there was no one to play the mridanga? Or we come and we get inspired by the wonderful prasadam, or sometimes, maybe not today, but most times by the nice class we hear. By hearing the philosophy about Krishna, we get inspired. So I was thinking, we talk about the importance of association devotees. If you just allow yourself to imagine for a minute, if I was in some place where there were no devotees, No one to talk to about Krishna. No one to tell me about the deities. No one to provide prasadam. No one to help provide a kirtan. Just try to imagine that for a minute. What would our lives be like? You just go to work every day. I mean, I'm certainly all of you have some friends who are a little spiritual. That's a help. But without the association of devotees, if you just were to go to work and all day long it's all materialistic people, and all they ask you is, did you get a raise yet? Did you see the new TV show last night? Did you hear Mary got a new car? You know, it's actually a pretty crummy car. My car's better than hers. You know that, right? Etc. How dry would life be? And a lot of us, perhaps all of us, came to Krishna consciousness to one degree or other because that was so unsatisfying. That type of talk, that type of consciousness, that type of relationship, that's what really drove us to look for something else, because it was tasteless. Prabhupada gives the example, he says, materialistic life, it's like a deer is on the edge of a desert, and it's looking across the desert, and it sees a reflection of water in the distance, and it's a hot day, and the deer's feeling thirsty. And because it doesn't have proper intelligence, it thinks, oh, there's water out there. Just like sometimes when you drive your car in a hot summer day and you see like, it looks like an illusion, there's water coming up. You think, what's their water doing on the pavement? But then you get there, there's no water. So Prabhupada comments that materialistic life is like that. Like the deer sees water, runs out to the middle of the desert thinking, oh, there's water there. But the water moves another 100 yards. Or another half a mile, and the deer runs further. And Prabhupada explains, he runs further, or she runs further and further and further until they die in the heat of the desert. So this is the kind of heavy analysis given by our spiritual acharyas, that's what life is like for a materialistic person. We hunt these things. And we all see that, isn't it? We all know people who, you know, my friend who wanted a motorcycle, I actually quit that job before I had to go back to school. I don't know what happened when he got his motorcycle, but I promise you what happened when he got that motorcycle. He was disappointed. Or else he found out how much the insurance was going to cost him. You know, there's always some bitter pill. He didn't make him happy, and he thought it would. So without the association of devotees to remind us of these things, life becomes difficult. And the point is, one point for us to think about a little bit is it's also difficult to associate with devotees. It's not like we say, okay, you just have to associate with spiritually minded people. You just walk in the door and it's like, wow, everybody loves me here. Everybody overlooks my flaws. And everybody just appreciates me for who I really am. Not for what I did or what I say, or whatever baggage I bring in. Did they see right through that and they just treat me with full love and affection? Unfortunately, if anybody told you that's what happens here, they were misinformed. What's actually happening here is we're a bunch of, to borrow an expression from another religious tradition, we are broken people, you know. The material world is all about, wow, I've got it together, right? My last job, I can say, you know, we all come from different backgrounds. The same college where I was, I had a job part-time as a bartender. Okay, and you like pour liquor for people. Talk about people who lie. And a lot of those people, they need a few drinks because then they can really lie about they're happy and they're attractive and everything's going really, really well and life is beautiful. That's you know, that's another form of, these days is another term of the big lie. That's a different lie. They lie. They present this. When we come to spiritual life, we kind of start out by saying, you know, something's missing in my life. I don't know what it is, but something's missing. Something's missing, and I think I need some spiritual answer. I need something deeper than just money and power and fame and all those different kind of things. So when we come together, Prabhupada would sometimes say that our International Society for Krishna Consciousness, it's like a hospital. It's where you go to get better. Now we all know, any doctors here? Any medical people here? Not so many. None. Okay. Yes, one? No? Anyway, Washington, D.C., we have a lot of doctors. So we all know. You ask any doctor, if you go to the hospital, is that where everybody is healthy? Are they all going to be healthy? No, they're not going to be healthy. But what are they doing in the hospital? They're getting healthy, isn't it? Which it starts with admitting I have a problem. We know like there's different types of diseases in this world. One is it's a big challenge in modern society is addiction. So many different types of addictions, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, this, that, so many types of addiction. They always say, if you read a little of the literature, the first step is you have to admit you got a problem. You know, people with alcohol problems, they rarely can admit they have a problem. When they do, then they can get better. So spiritual life is like that. You know, when we get tired of people who say, how are you? Oh, I'm fine. I'm fine. I lost my job yesterday, but I'm fine. How are you? My mother died last week. I'm fine. How are you doing? Well, I'm with chronic depression, but I'm fine. It's like, hey, excuse me. I don't think that's fine. Maybe there's some other way of living. Is there some other solution here? So when a person can be honest with themselves and say, I think there's something missing in my life, you know, or as Krishna describes and Prabhupada explains in the Bhagavad Gita, when one asks, why is there suffering? Why is there suffering? That's the beginning of our spiritual life. And then we come to a place with people that are also making that inquiry. And then here, Rupa Goswami is explaining to us, what do you do when you get in that association? How do we do that? And that is, we learn how to respect and treat others in a way where we're offering gifts, accepting gifts, revealing our mind and confidence, inquiring confidentially, offering prasadam and sharing prasad, understanding that we're all here together to become gradually awakened in Krishna consciousness and purified in our heart. And it's a process. It takes some time. And again, it's not that we just walk in the door and we don't have our little petty disputes or our shortcomings or we make mistakes or we step on people's toes. But the difference is we're trying to be honest about that and correct those things. Other people are doing the same thing. Some people are very motivated about trying to live a more pure life, but we want to do it for Krishna. And it's not easy. It's not easy to do. And that's why we have to support each other. That's why we have to also describe the devotees have to be forgiving with ourselves and with others, with our different shortcomings. And I remember a story that I always find very inspiring. In the early days, Prabhupada was just starting to teach his Western disciples, because they're all Westerners, the Vaishnava culture. So they were just learning about the idea of bowing down before a saintly person, paying obeisances. So one devotee, Garga Muni, went to Prabhupada, Swamiji in those days, and said, Swamiji, the others are bowing down, but I don't feel like it. Was inquiring. I don't feel like it. Prabhupada said, that's all right. Just bow down and the feeling will come. So we may think, sometimes it's a fact. I'll say, sometimes I don't feel like chanting. But I know if I chant, the feeling for chanting will come. Sometimes I don't like offering prasad to others. I always like receiving prasadam. Like I said, that's the easy one. But I don't always feel like offering. But if I think, okay, let me, as Prabhupada said, just do it, and the feeling will come. So, inquiring from others confidentially, generally, how can I help you? And keeping confidentiality, My name is Anutam. I go and explain to somebody tomorrow, whatever, I'm really having this trouble with my mind or my finances or my wife or my kids or this or that. And then next week, somebody gives Sunday feast class. Did you know Anutama is having trouble with his wife or his mind or his kids? That's number one example of breaking confidentiality, and it breaks trust. So we have to practice doing these loving exchanges in a pure-hearted way, in a sincere way. We're not pure-hearted, we're not so sincere, but Prabhupada's promised us if we practice, we'll be successful. And oftentimes it's painful because we come from this world to one degree or the other. We've been hurt, we've been cheated, our faith has been broken, our trust has been broken, and every time that happens, we put up another brick around our heart. It's described devotees are soft-hearted, but we walk in the door a little hard-hearted to one degree or the other. It's just the impact of the material world. How do I trust people? And my trust has been broken so many times. But we practice being trustworthy, be worthy of other people's trust, and then people will trust us. So I think I'll end with this piece, that when we hear this description of how devotees are meant to interact with each other, we should look for those relationships and take advantage of that. We should participate as a person giving into that relationship, and we should also try to whatever extent we can take that outside of our community, make that an example for others. If we do that, people find that very attractive. We're looking for that. But it takes a little courage. It takes courage if there's somebody who you know, your mind tells you don't like them very much. We all have people like that. I don't like this person very much. She rubs me the wrong way, or he rubs me the wrong way. But that's the person we should go out of our way to give some loving service to. That's the person we should give a gift. That's the person we should give prasadam. That's the person we should, it's not mentioned here, but offer obeisances to. That's yoga. Yoga practice means controlling the mind and the senses. And for us, we control the mind and the senses for bhakti, for devotion. So we control our minds by serving others, even if we don't feel it. And if we do, the feeling comes. We control our mind and our senses by serving others and honoring others and offering gifts to others. And if we do, that feeling comes. Our heart becomes purified. In this way, collectively, we make some spiritual advancement. But we shouldn't kid ourselves into thinking it's an easy thing. It takes some time, you know. As Acharyas described, we may have been here for uncountable number of births. We have so many habits and so many patterns in our mind, but gradually they go away if we take advantage of these 6 exchanges. So let's try to do that as best we can. And I suggest as something to help remind us of this, every once in a while, just kind of sit and imagine a world with no devotees. You know, sometimes I find myself like I'm having some little quarrel or tension with some other devotee, and I think, okay, well, let's imagine they're not here. Everybody think for a moment, some maybe devotee you have some problems with, okay? And you think, okay, they're not here. The first reaction is, whew, that was nice. But then think, okay, they're not here. But now there's no devotees in my life. There's no one that reminds me of Krishna. There's no one that encourages me to chant Krishna's name or to come to Krishna's temple, to be spiritual at all. Everybody I meet is just a very materialistic person. And then imagine that one devotee you now have some trouble with, if they again came into your life. You'd fall at their feet, you'd embrace them, you'd cry tears, what do they call it, crocodile, big tears, real tears. You'd be so grateful that Krishna's blessed you with their association. So let's try to have that mood and overlook each other's shortcomings a little bit. We all have to do better. It's not an excuse for not being better people, but with each other, try to overlook those shortcomings of others and practice these 6 exchanges. And if we do, it says our devotional success will be achieved very quickly. And our communities will be so inspired and so loving. So I'll stop there. Are there more announcements now? Or I think Kirtan comes next. Is there time for a question or two? Or what should we do? We have 7 minutes. Okay. Anybody have a 7-minute or shorter question or comment? The other choice is we pretend we're practicing another yoga system and we sit in silence for 7 minutes. That's another option. Yes, Sunil Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you very much for your beautiful class. Can you give us some answers or what happened when Prabhupada was there and how devotees, between each devotee, how they treat each other and how they exchanging the loves and all that.
When Prabhupada was here, the senior most devotee had practiced bhakti for about 10 years. And most devotees have been practicing bhakti for about 6 months or 2 years or something like that. I never read the statistics, but I think the average sannyasi was probably 27. The average marriage was probably been around for 3 years. You know, the average devotee was maybe 24 years old, like that. When I became a devotee first, my temple president was, I think, 27. So there was a lot of shortcomings in that period of time. But I think devotees then, in a very positive sense, they were very enthusiastic and very convinced about how if I sincerely practice Krishna consciousness, so there's a high degree of enthusiasm. But at the same time, I think a fair amount of that enthusiasm was a little naive. Because in another verse in this same book, it talks about one must be enthusiastic, but then it also says one must be confident, or probably says determined. You have to be determined and also patient. So there was a fair number of people that came to Krishna consciousness very enthusiastic. They stayed for some short time, and then, you know, they went off and did something else. So that's to their eternal benefit. But I think it's important we also have to cultivate that determination. I think Prabhupada gave people a lot of enthusiasm, and we also have to cultivate that determination. Because I don't know if anybody else has noticed, but my experience of spiritual life is you have some good days and some not such good days. Anybody else ever experienced that? Some of you probably it's just like bliss, 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 ever increasing, right? No, not okay. At least there's 3 of us here, okay? The rest of them, we don't know. They're like on another planet, but some of us is like that. So that determination also needs to be there. And Krishna says right at the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, he doesn't tell Arjuna, okay, you become a devotee and everything's going to be easy. He tells him happiness and distress, they come and go like winter and summer seasons. We're all going to experience that. I just heard an interview with a devotee the other day who was talking about with Prabhupada. Prabhupada was explaining that spiritual life, it's like we're in the middle of this material ocean. You know, it's tossing huge waves. Sometimes the ocean has 100-foot waves or higher, and it's tossing. So we're like in a little boat in the middle of this ocean. So naturally, we're going to get tossed by the waves. That's just, you can't avoid that. You know, the ups and the downs and this and that. But if you stay in the boat, you know, if we stay in this boat of bhakti, of Krishna consciousness, we will be successful by Krishna's grace, by God's grace, the grace of the acharyas, grace of Guru, grace of the holy name. We will be successful. But we shouldn't expect we get on the boat and all of a sudden the waves are going to stop. The waves won't stop, but we're in the boat, so we're okay. So just don't get out of the boat. You know, sometimes our mind says, oh, look at the big wave. I should jump. Right? Jump out of the boat and then the waves will go away. No, you jump out of the boat, the waves will drown you. So we have to stay in the boat. Stay in the association of devotees, and this is how we do it. Okay? Other question? We have a couple minutes left. Thank you, Sunil Prabhu. Now, there's only 2 minutes left, so keep it simple.
Yeah. So thank you very much for Chicago, and always a lot of lecture is very practical and that. So as you say, at that time, Prabhupada, we have the lots of shortcomings, maybe individual and all the way. Nowadays, we have all that things, maybe lots of things and that things. But still we are not spreading that much.
Still we are not
spreading Krishna consciousness that much. So what your suggestion? Where we have now shortcomings?
Well, one, I'm very inspired that your consciousness is such that it's never enough. There needs to be more service and success in spreading Krishna consciousness. I think in some ways, I'm on a group, the Relevance Committee, talking about how can we help ISKCON be more relevant. In some ways, we're much more relevant than we were ever in the past. There are devotees, committed followers of Srila Prabhupada who are professors in major universities all around the world, teaching religious studies and South Asian religions and world religions and Hinduism, and they're teaching their students, you know, they're not proselytizing, but they're teaching students, they're writing papers, and they're influencing the academic world about the authenticity of Lord Chaitanya the bhakti yoga and the philosophy of Vaishnavism, which is very profound. There's devotees more involved today than they ever were before in interfaith dialogue at very high levels, and people are actually appreciating the contributions that we're making. There's a big, just up the street, there's a big, beautiful temple coming in Naperville. There's a new temple going to open soon in New Jersey. So in many ways, there's a lot of progress. I think, in terms of book distribution, I don't know the exact numbers. I think we're almost to where we were at some of the peak years. So in some ways, we're being very successful. In some ways, we're not. In some ways, we're not being very successful. And I think it's up to us to figure out, what can I do to make a contribution, to make a difference? And I think that's just, maybe you just end with that. Sometimes I hear, especially young devotees, they'll say, oh, what was it like in the early days, the pioneer days? I wish I was there. And that's an illusion. ISKCON's been around for like 55 years or something, right? These posters are from the 50th anniversary, it was just recently. It's like 55 years into a movement that's predicted to last for 10,000 years. So 50 years, we're all pioneers. Your grandchildren are going to be pioneers. And what does it mean as a pioneer? It means the systems aren't so developed. You're like, where's the, how do we get through this woods? Well, okay, let's give it a try. That's what it means to be a pioneer. And we work in conjunction and we follow the acharyas. But so much needs to be done. So I would kind of turn your question around and say, yes, so much more needs to be done. What can you do? What can I do? What can he do? What can she do? We should all think like that. What can I do? And not that we become all, completely independent-minded and I don't want to work with the organization. And no, what can I do to expand that community? Where can I make a difference? And it's unlimited. The opportunities are really unlimited. And we shouldn't think, well, okay, I'm young, I can't contribute, or I'm old, I can't contribute. I'm a woman, I can't contribute. Well, I'm a man. This day and age, man, I live in Washington, D.C. I'm in communications. I might be the only man in the world left in communications. All the women have the communications because everybody knows they're better communicators, but still I can do something, Or what can I do? I'm Indian. What can I do? I'm not Indian. What can I do? I'm a Prabhupada disciple. What can I do? I'm not a Prabhupada disciple. What can I do? The sun's out today. How can I spread Krishna? It's too sunny today. Oh, look, it's cloudy today. You have to get rid of that. We're all pioneers, and, Prabhupada needs you. He needs every one of us. He's empowering. He's asking every one of us. And I'll end with this. Prabhupada was in a room, early days, with a bunch of devotees, and he was looking at each of them in the eye. Men and women, boys and girls, all at the same time. And he said, I want each of you to open a temple. And there was one young girl there who was 16 years old, and she said, Swamiji, even the girls? 16. I got a granddaughter who's 16. Okay, that's like 16, right? So Prabhupada said, yes, why not? In Krishna consciousness, there's no difference between the boys and the girls. So Prabhupada tells a 16-year-old girl, go and open a temple. What's the message? The message there is, I need help. I've got a gift to give. Like Lord Chaitanya said, right? I have a storehouse of love of Godhead. I'm only one gardener. I need help spreading this love of God, the fruits of love of God. So in that mood, Prabhupada said, I need all your help. So he needs all our help. So whatever barriers are there, and sometimes different relationships with devotees or our physical health or this and that. Those are temporary things. We have to put those aside. Sunil, how old are you? 65. Did you hear that man chanting and dancing and jumping up and down? Is that proof age is no limit? Isn't it? No restrictions for any of us. Okay? Okay. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. So the next part of our program will be the prasadam. It's upstairs. Thank you. Again, a reminder, everyone, for Janmashtami Day, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj will be giving the Bhagavatam class at 8 o'clock. So please try to come. Those who came late, probably they didn't hear this. Also in the evening, he will be here from 6 to 8:30 doing the kirtan. And His Holiness Romapad Maharaj will be here for the festival talk. So we'll have got a lot of good association on that day. Hare Krishna.
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I start? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Kishore Kishori Jaya Kishore Kishori Krishna Kishori Jaya Kishore Kishori Jaya Jagannatha Jagannatha Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Jaya Prabhupada When you hold it for a long time. Oh, why were you wearing that? Why is it so heavy?
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo bolo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo bolo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare.
Play or you're tired? You're tired or you can play. నాకు కాడదైతే నా ఇంటి పక్కన Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama